He's waiting for you. He's prepared all the paperwork. I'll come back later today, tomorrow at the latest. I'm sorry, sir, Mr. Davidson doesn't like to be kept waiting. But Levi was already pushing through the door behind him. He heard her pick up the phone, speaking urgently to someone. He jogged to his car, started the engine, and pulled out of the parking lot quickly. The mountain road was rougher than the main routes designed for logging trucks and maintenance vehicles rather than regular traffic. Levi's car bounced over potholes and washboard surfaces as he climbed higher. The afternoon sun filtered through the canopy of trees, creating a strobe effect that made him squint. He didn't know exactly what he expected to find, but every instinct told him he needed to see what was happening on that mountain. The model's memorial to the Amish, the renewed pressure on landowners, Brenner's strange behavior, the connection to events from 10 years ago. It all swirled in his mind like pieces of a puzzle refusing to fit together. The mountain road grew steeper and more isolated with each mile. Levi's car strained against the grade, and he had to downshift twice to maintain speed. The trees pressed close on both sides, their branches forming a tunnel of green overhead. For nearly an hour he climbed, passing no other vehicles, seeing no signs of habitation except the occasional utility pole marking the route. Finally, the road leveled out into a cleared area through the thinning trees. Levi spotted Officer Brenner's patrol car parked near a construction fence. He pulled off into a small turnout, partially hidden by brush, killed the engine, and stepped out into the mountain air. The construction site sprawled before him, larger than he'd expected. Heavy equipment sat idle for the moment, a bulldozer, an excavator, stacks of lumber and stone. The structure taking shape was indeed designed to look like an Amish meeting house, but grander, more elaborate than any real plain building would be. It was a tourist's idea of Amish architecture, all peaked roofs and decorative touches that no actual Amish community would approve. Levi moved closer, keeping to the tree line. Through the chain-link fence he could see Brenner standing with the two men from Jacob Yoder's farm, their voices carried on the mountain breeze. Memorial house will be perfect, one of the men was saying. Preserve the memory of Amish culture in this region. Tourists love that kind of thing. They'll come by the busload to see authentic Amish heritage, sympathetic narrative. The other added how the simple Amish way of life couldn't survive modern pressures. Very touching, very marketable. Brenner nodded. The development can proceed once the remaining families are convinced to relocate. How long before this is a long-term project? The first man interrupted. We've waited 10 years already. We can wait a little longer, but with your help. Officer, we can be more persuasive this time. These stubborn Amish, the second man said, shaking his head. They don't understand progress, don't appreciate what we're offering sometimes. I think the only way to deal with them is. He stopped, looked around, as if checking for listeners, then laughed. Well, let's just say this place is built on Amish bones. Literally, we've got them stored right here. Levi's stomach lurched. He pressed closer to the fence, straining to hear. Come, the first man said to Brenner. Let us show you something. They walked deeper into the construction site. Levi's eyes darted around, spotted a hard hat and safety vest hanging on a fence post, probably left by a worker on break. Without thinking, he grabbed them, put them on, and slipped through an opening in the fence. The vest was too large, the hard hat loose on his head, but from a distance he might pass for a construction worker. He kept his head down and walked purposefully. Following the trio at a distance, they stopped at the far side of the half-completed building where the foundation had been poured, but walls were only partially erected. One of the men called to a nearby worker operating a small backhoe. Dig here, he instructed, pointing to a spot marked with orange spray paint. Not deep, maybe 3 feet. The worker looked confused, but complied. The backhoe's bucket bit into the earth, pulling away soil and gravel. After only a few scoops, the operator stopped, peering down at something. That's enough, the first man said. He and his companion climbed down into the shallow excavation. Levy crept closer, using a stack of lumber as cover. He watched in horror as one of the men reached down and pulled something from the dirt, a bone, unmistakably human, probably from a leg. The man handed it to Brina, who took it without hesitation, turned it over in his hands, examining it, then dropped it back into the hole. You see, the second man said, grinning, we stored them here. The whole family, plus a few others who got too curious over the years there. Will be more in the future, the first added, once we clear out the remaining. Amish kill some, if necessary, frighten the rest. Interleaving this whole valley will be ours to develop. Shopping centers, housing developments, tourist attractions, something actually productive, not just farmland rotting in the hands of backwards people. And you'll help us, won't you, officer? The second man said to Brenner. Just like before, your position, your reputation in the community, invaluable assets. Brina nodded slowly. The department trusts me to handle Amish affairs. They won't question my reports. Levi backed away, his whole body shaking. Aaron, Miriam, the children here under this obscene monument to their memory. He forced himself to move quietly, carefully back the way he'd come. At the fence he shed the hard hat and vest, leaving them where he'd found them. He ran to his car, started it, and drove back down the mountain as fast as he dared. His cell phone showed no signal at the construction site, but halfway down to bars appeared. He pulled over, hands trembling as he dialed. 911 911, what's your emergency? My name is Levi Lapp, he said, forcing his voice steady. I need to report a murder, multiple murders, and police. Corruption, sir. Please calm down. What's your location? Levi gave the mountain road markers. He'd noted there's a construction site at the top. They're building a fake Amish memorial. I just witnessed them digging up human bones. Officer Paul Brina is involved. He's corrupt. He's working with developers who killed my brother's family. 10 years ago, sir. These are very serious accusations. Are you certain I saw the bones? Levi's voice cracked. I heard them talking about killing more Amish families. Please, you have to send someone dig where they dug. You'll find the evidence. We're dispatching units now, sir. State police will also be notified given the allegation of officer corruption. Please remain where you are. Levi waited, engine running, watching the road. Within 15 minutes he heard sirens. Multiple police cars appeared, racing up the mountain. He followed them back up. At the construction site, organized chaos erupted. Police officers swarmed the area. Brina emerged from the building, saw the police cars, and his face went white as the two developers tried to get to their truck. Levi pulled his car across their path, blocking them. Brina approached him, trying to maintain his authority. Levi, what are you doing? Move your vehicle. I saw everything. Levi said, getting out of his car. The bones, my brother's family, maybe others. You helped murder them. This is ridiculous, Brina said. Officers, this man is making wild accusations, but the newly arrived police were already moving. A Sergeant Levi didn't recognize, said Officer Brina. We need you to step aside while we investigate. These are serious allegations. This is a misunderstanding, Brina protested. This man is grief-stricken, imagining things. Then you won't mind if we look around, the sergeant said. Teams of officers entered the construction site. Workers stepped back, confused and concerned. Their Levi pointed to the excavation they dug there. The bones are there. 2 officers jumped down into the hole within moments. One called out, Sergeant, we've got human remains here. Brina turned to run. A sharp crack split the air. A warning shot fired into the sky. Nobody move. An officer shouted. Brina froze. The 2 developers who had made it halfway to their truck stopped as well. Officers moved in, weapons drawn but pointed down, hands behind your head, on your knees. One by one, Brina and the two men were handcuffed. Brinner's face was a mask of defeat as they led him to a patrol car. The developers tried to protest, claim innocence demand lawyers, but the officers were professional and unmoved. "We need to go." To their office, Levi told the sergeant, "The man trying to buy my farm, Davidson, he's part of this. He's at the office building at the foot of the mountain." The sergeant nodded. "We'll take care of it. You'll need to come to the station to give a full statement." The convoy of police vehicles wound back down the mountain. Lights flashing, but sirens silent now. At the modernist office building, more police. Cars converged, officers entered, while Levi waited outside. Through the glass walls he could see Davidson being placed in handcuffs, the receptionist's shocked face, papers being seized. As they prepared to leave for the police station, Levi looked back at the mountain, somewhere up there, hidden for 10 years. His family lay in unhallowed ground, but they had been found. Finally, they had been found, the New Holland police station had never seen such activity. Officers moved with purpose through the corridors, and Levi watched through the Sallyport windows as Brina was led inside. His uniform now a mockery of the trust it once represented. The two developers followed, their earlier arrogance replaced by sullen silence. Davidson came last. Still in his business suit, his face pale with shock, a detective in a grey suit approached Levi. "Mr. Lapp, I'm Detective Sarah Chen from the State Police. We'll be handling this investigation, given the circumstances. Would you come with me, please?" She led him to a small interview room, clean and spare, with just a table and chairs. A recording device sat between them. "I know this has been an overwhelming day," Detective Chen said gently, "but I need you to tell me everything from the beginning. Take your time." Levi started with the morning's remembrance service, his voice steady as he recounted discovering the vest in the photograph, finding it at Aaron's house, his attempt to return it to Brina. He described the encounter at Jakob Yodar's farm, the strange meeting with Brina on the road, the rushed property sale attempt, and finally what he'd witnessed at the mountain construction site. Detective Chen took notes occasionally, asking for clarification. When Levi finished, she set down her pen. "Mr. Lapp, can you tell me about the original investigation 10 years ago?" Levi shifted uncomfortably. "It was very brief, less than a week. Officer Brina led it," said. "He was the liaison for Amish affairs. He asked questions, looked at the house, but he paused, choosing his words carefully. We Amish, we don't readily cooperate with outside authorities. It's not our way, most in the community believed. Aaron and his family left voluntarily, maybe to visit relatives, maybe to relocate when they didn't return. We thought perhaps there had been some conflict we didn't know about, some reason they chose to stay away. But your brother never mentioned plans to leave Number. Well, he did mention pressure from a property company. They wanted to buy his land. He owned more than most in our community. Not that we have hierarchies exactly, but Aaron had inherited from our father and bought additional parcels over the years. He was substantial in terms of land ownership." Detective Chen nodded. "We found something at Davidson's office that might interest you. A journal, very detailed records of their plans, including entries about Officer Brina." Levi leaned forward. "Brina was part of it, more than part of it, according to what we've read so far. He was the one who organized the kidnapping. He used his position, his trust in your community to get close to your brother. The journal suggests Brina was on their payroll for years, feeding them information about which families might sell which were vulnerable." Levi felt sick. All those times Brina had helped with barn raisings, had directed traffic during harvest, had shown respect for their ways, all of it a lie. "The officer we trusted most," he said quietly. "He ate at our tables, knew our children's names." "I'm sorry," Detective Chen said. "I know, this is a terrible betrayal. How did they? What happened to my brother's family? Do you know yet?" We'll know more after interrogations, but based on the journal and the evidence, we believe they were lured to a remote location, probably the mountain site, where construction wouldn't begin for years. Your brother likely refused their final offer. Things escalated, and then they had to silence the whole family. Levi finished, the children too, to leave. No witnesses, that's our working theory, the DNA. Results will confirm if the remains are your family, but given that yours is the only Amish disappearance in this area in the past decade, it's highly probable. Did they ever get any land? Was it worth it to them? Detective Chen checked her notes. No town records show any sales to their company after your brother's disappearance, it seems. They pulled back, maybe worried about drawing attention. All those deaths for nothing. They waited 10 years to try again. Levi put his head in his hands. My brother fought them, and we never knew. If I had been here, I was in Ohio, then working. I only moved back after they vanished. If I had known about his struggle with these developers, you can't blame yourself. Detective Chen said firmly, the blame lies with the men who did this. We Amish live in acceptance, Levi said, raising his head. We believe in yielding to God's will, in not fighting the world, but sometimes that acceptance makes us blind to evil. We should have pushed harder 10 years ago. Should have demanded real answers instead of accepting what Brina told us. A knock at the door interrupted them. An officer peered in. Detective, the family member is here. A Mrs. Esther Lapp. My mother, Levi said. Standing quickly, he found her in the corridor, her black bonnet slightly askew, her face drawn with fear and hope. Their eyes met, and she read the truth in his expression. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Levi caught her as she swayed there. Just bones, Mom, just bones, now. They held each other in the fluorescent-lit hallway, mother and son, united in grief. That was a decade old, but suddenly fresh. Other officers moved past them, respectfully giving them space for their sorrow. After a time, Detective Chen approached. Mr. and Mrs. Lapp, the forensics team has preliminary information, if you're ready. They were led to a family waiting room, more comfortable than the interview space, with softer chairs and tissue boxes on every surface. A woman in a lab coat entered, her expression professionally compassionate. I'm Dr. Martinez from the forensics department, she said. The remains we recovered are approximately 10 years old. Based on decomposition and soil analysis, we found bones of various sizes, adult male, adult female, and children of different ages. Esther made a sound like a wounded animal. Levi gripped her hand. We'll need DNA samples from you both to confirm identity, Dr. Martinez continued. But the ages and numbers match your missing family members. Can we see? Esther asked, her voice barely audible. Dr. Martinez hesitated. It's not there, not intact, remains Mrs. Lapp, but if you feel it would help, we can show you some of the evidence we've collected. They were led to another room, where evidence bags lay on a sterile metal table, bones cleaned and tagged, fragments of fabric, a small shoe that might have fit a young child, personal effects that had survived a decade in the ground. Esther reached into her bag with shaking hands and pulled out a photograph. The same one from the remembrance service, Aaron and Miriam on the porch, the 5 children arranged by height, all of them smiling in the sunshine of a morning 10 years gone. She held it up, comparing the living faces to the remnants on the table. It's them, Esther whispered. My son, my grandchildren. They stood in that sterile room, looking at all that remained of a family that had laughed and prayed and worked together. Levi thought of all the years of wandering, of hope gradually fading to acceptance, of questions that had seemed destined to remain forever unanswered. Now they knew the knowing was terrible, but it was also somehow a relief. No more wondering if Aaron had chosen to leave, if they had failed him somehow, if the family was out there somewhere, living a different life. They were here, they had never left. We'll find them a proper resting place. Levi said quietly. In the cemetery with the rest of our people, they'll come home. Esther nodded, tears streaming down her weathered face. She touched the photograph once more, then carefully returned it to her bag. They had found Aaron's family at last, and though the finding brought grief, it also brought the beginning of peace.